Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dream Life Loading Podcast, Season 2, Episode 6. I'm your co-host, Skye.
And I'm your co-host, Susan. How are you today, Skye?
I am good, Susan. We had quite a day yesterday, but I guess long story short, we got to go to Verona and we had a wonderful time, and it was so cool to see Juliet's balcony and see they had a lot of different Romeo and Juliet stuff, and that's always something. I obviously theater kid, I read Romeo and Juliet, so it was really it there was a lot of craziness and bad things that happened at the end of the day, but we are all safe, and that's really what matters at the end of the day. So the fact that we got to see Verona and experience it with Nick's family. It was a really good day until the night hit. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, it's been a crazy 24 hours. So I'm coming down from the craziness. But how are you?
I'm good. I hosted a girls' night on Friday, and that was excellent, so much fun. And then I was feeling low, like I don't know if I was fighting off something or sick, and I was just super congested. So we literally we got a lot done around the house, but we rested Saturday and Sunday, which was much needed. So I'm feeling recouped and ready for the week.
I love that. I think let's talk about your girls' night. And I think we've been hosting you more than me, especially, but I thought that this would be a fun episode to do because with the holidays coming up, I think so many people are going to be hosting more. And just, I think with fall and winter, it seems like there's more like dinner parties and like indoor hosting style things just with the weather changing and, like I said, the holidays and whatever. So I think let's just talk about, like, you probably have more hosting tips than I do, so I'm looking to gain some insight from you. And then also share like stories, advice, just like all things hosting. I think it can be so much fun if you not know what you're doing, but if you just have a plan. And so I know you have had a great plan on Saturday, especially with your girls' day.
Yes. So Saturday was fun. I actually pulled from your TikTok. I was sitting in the grocery store parking lot and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to see Sky's TikTok because I did the hand charcuterie
Yes.
board and it came out so cute. Did I send you pictures?
No, you didn't. I
Okay,
had
I'll
no
send you
idea.
pictures when we're done recording. But it came out super cute. So that was super fun. But I
Mhm.
actually wrote my top 3 tips for hosting, and I'm just gonna list them off and then we can jump into the details of it all.
Yep.
So number one, have a signature drink, whether it's a cocktail or a mocktail. This just elevates the party so much and just have it be themed. So for Friday, we did apple cider mimosas, and I'm pretty sure I was the only one who drank them. However, it was nice because everyone just brought their own stuff. But it was nice that there was the option and it was just fun and it adds like a certain flair. Like right now I'm seeing all the Christmas cocktails and mocktail recipes and I'm like, oh, that's fun. Like that's really fun. The next one is tablescape detail. If you just add one small detail to your table, it makes such a big difference. So like even when we have just like my parents or Chris's parents stop in unexpectedly and we are throwing together a dinner really fast, an easy one is making your napkins look really nice. I learned how
Yes.
to roll my cloth napkins into a rose, and now it's such a quick and easy thing, and it makes your table look just so put together. So just having like something small that you can do if you're planning like a bigger event, like having name tags, that's also always a fun way to go about it. And then my last one is easy cleanup. So whether that's plastic, like nice looking plastic like plateware, that's super easy, or just making sure that your dishwasher and everything is empty and ready to go. You don't want to be unloading your dishwasher while trying to load it at the same time. Like just have your stations all set and it's going to make everything go so much smoother because at the end of the day, you should enjoy your party just as much, if not more, than everyone else. And you're not going to enjoy it if you're doing dishes the whole time.
Yep. Yeah. So I wrote notes too, and I think most of these notes are going off of Thanksgiving that we hosted a couple weeks ago, like I
Yeah.
talked about. But I hosted like a pretty good amount in college, which obviously is not going to be like a full sit down dinner party all the time, but it is like a lot of these tips and tricks can like transfer over from like event to event. But the signature cocktail, I'm right there with you. I did apple cider mimosas for Thanksgiving too, and we had Russians, Canadians, me, the American, and then an Italian. So we had so many different cultures going on, which was honestly pretty fantastic. But a lot of people hadn't heard of apple cider mimosa. So it was even like a fun conversation starter, and people wanted to try something new. So doing a cocktail that's like maybe people haven't heard of, or, like just something that sets the mood, sets the theme. I love that. I think it's an easy way. And I think you can also kind of dictate how much alcohol you want people to be drinking at your gathering. If you do like a martini or like a cocktail versus like the mimosa that's just prosecco.
Yeah.
So you could do a sangria and add vodka, whatever. So you can kind of help monitor because you can, I mean, you're the host, you get to kind of decide where you want the levels to be. So I knew I kind of appreciated being able to kind of be the one monitoring that.
I've also done, I get the big around Christmas time, the big like just empty ornaments. They're like plastic or glass that you can put like pictures and stuff in, but we put alcohol in those. And then you just, so your hard alcohol is in the ornament. And then you have your mixture in the glass and you put the ornament on the glass. And then as people want to drink, they just flip it over. And that's super fun
Ooh.
too.
Oh, I love that. And that's a good, like,
Yeah.
easy. So it could literally be a vodka cran, like super basic
Yeah.
drink. Now that you're putting it in this fun little experience, your guests are going to remember it.
Yeah.
I it's not super expensive. Like it's a pretty cheap decor experience, whatever. So
Yeah.
that's so fun. I want to do that this
And
year.
it can be so affordable. I think my ornaments for last year cost me like $1 each. I bought a bag of them. I got like 10 of them just so that we have them. In our apartment, we never had more than 6 people anyways, but now that we have the house, like we can have a whole slew, which I don't know if I told you this, but I'm hosting Thanksgiving this year. Like
No way.
full on both families, and we have a couple friends coming. Like the whole thing.
Wow. How many people
Yeah.
do you know?
I'm guess like just off the top of my head, I'm guessing anywhere between 12 and 20.
How do
I'm
you
a
feel
little
about that?
I'm a little scared, but I know it'll be fun because I'm gonna do all my planning
Mhm.
beforehand, and I can already see the tablescape. It's gonna be
Yes.
beautiful.
And I think this is a really good, I had written this down too, and I was really nervous because I knew Thanksgiving's obviously a big deal, and especially to these Canadians that some of them, this was their first time not being home for Thanksgiving. So I wanted it to be really special for them. And obviously, like, I wanted it to be special just in general.
Yeah.
Like, you feel a lot of pressure when you're hosting. And especially, I had never cooked a turkey and it was a 15-pound bird. And I was like, what do I do with this? So there's a lot of pressure. But at the end of the day, you have to remember that I think you have to not only remember and acknowledge, but accept that things are not going to go exactly according to your plan. And you just have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, the turkey took an extra hour. We had to use a different oven than we thought. Like all these different things happen and you just have to be like you can be upset about it later, but like just be okay with the fact that it's going to not be exactly like you want and know that your guests probably don't care. I think that was like my big thing is I was so worried like are people starving if we don't eat right at 4 o'clock and this and that. It was like people are so happy, especially in your situation where you're going to be hosting this giant gathering. People are going to be so grateful and happy that you are hosting them and providing this food and providing this experience that if things are a little bit delayed, especially with your fun drinks, no one's going to care. So actually
Right.
kind of set people up with drinks and apps so that if things go a little bit messy,
Yeah.
no one notices.
Yep. And that's the thing. The other thing I've noticed is like if you have the right group of people, they're just going to be so kind and considerate. Like they're always like our group, especially when we've done Friendsgiving for a handful of years now. And that core group is always like, you're hosting, like, don't do the dishes. Like, let me take care of this. Let me do this. And they just want to jump in and help. And it's like when you have the right group, hosting is not stressful at all. I couldn't tell you the last time I was hosting something and I felt actual stress
Yep.
because we have such a good group of people. And it's just like, awesome. And you don't like, you can check in on them, make sure they're comfortable or whatever, but then like just go do your thing and enjoy it. And I feel like your guests enjoy your party so much more when you're enjoying
Yes.
yourself. You're sitting with them or you're laughing with them, even if you are still doing stuff in the kitchen, but just don't sit there and have your grumpy, stressed out face on, like actually enjoy it and be as present as you can. Obviously, you're managing a whole lot of stuff, but just the biggest thing I can say is enjoy it.
And you have I think the host is going to set the bar for literally everything. Like every single
Mm-hmm.
aspect of your event you set as the host. And if you have a bad attitude and you're stressed and overwhelmed and like waiting for the day to be over, your guests are going to have that same attitude too. So you have
Yeah.
to like if you want the event to go well, you start with yourself, which like literally is everything that we talk about with DLL. It's like it begins with yourself, but it really does with this. And I noticed that too. It's like if there were little moments when I started to get overwhelmed, and get stressed. It was like, I don't want this attitude to come across to our guests because then you don't want them to feel bad. You don't want like and then
Yeah.
make it worse. So I really tried to lean on some of our guests that would come to me and be like, "Can I do anything?" Because it's so easy. I'm sure you're the same way, where if someone says like, "Oh, can I help you?" Or like, the automatic response is, "No, I'm good, thanks." And then I kind of
Yeah.
stop. I was like, "Actually, yes, please be the person to make sure the
Mhm.
marshmallows don't burn or whatever." And
Yeah.
we have no dishwasher, so when you're cooking a feast like that with 12 people, I think it was, it's a lot of dishes. And we had multiple people throughout the day that were like, let me take a turn, like, let me take a shift. And it was incredible. I honestly said to Nick, our apartment has never looked cleaner than it did the day after Thanksgiving. So it's just, like you said, good people that want to make it, want to help.
Absolutely. Why don't we do the question of the day? Because I think this will create more top conversation on
Okay.
this. When do you feel the most yourself?
Oh, Susan, that's a really, though I was expecting like, what's your favorite drink to serve or something. So I feel
I
caught
mean,
off
we can do
guard.
that.
When do I feel my most myself? I mean, I think I always was like the person that like I would not want to go for sleepovers. I would not want to go like hang out with people because I felt like my most comfortable and my most relaxed with my family, like mom, dad, Lucas, without question. And then Nick was honestly, well, I've had you included a very like few three friends that like are pretty close to that. Like friends that feel like family, but like you don't get that like family unit. Like if your family's really
Yeah.
special, and Nick is probably like the one on that list where it's like you feel like yourself. Like I feel like I can be like very authentically Skylar. But I if we're
Yeah.
not thinking because you didn't really ask me like who I'm with, you more asked like when. So I think like when I'm in like an outfit that I feel good in and I'm like doing something that gives me joy, whether it's reading or writing or listening to music or honestly like when I did theater in high school, like being on stage, like things that give me pure passion, like that's when I feel my most myself. I think when I'm most confident is when I feel most myself.
I love that. So I feel the most myself when usually I'm like half a drink in, my table scape is set. I am wearing something cute. We have like a wood fire going, all the candles are lit in the house, and we have people over and the house is filled with chatter. That
Oh,
is when I feel the most me. And maybe that's why I was like, oh, this is gonna go back to
yeah.
host because that was, but yes, that is like hands down when I feel the most myself.
So hosting is when you feel your most yourself.
Yeah.
That's
I
really
love it. Like
nice.
I love having like the placemats and like picking we have different colored silverware. So like when it's a group of four, we're using the black utensils because I only have like a matching four perfect sets. And I love just putting it all together and our table runner and all the things. And Chris gets it. Chris came home with a table runner the other day and was like, you had to have this. And I was like, do you get
Oh,
it? Like having a bouquet of flowers on our table, like all the things. And that's been the other day I went to the grocery store and one of Chris's biggest pet peeves is flowers. He thinks that they're a waste of money because they just die. He would rather give me something that like I can have for a long period of time. And I'm like, I
he's
don't care. I
always
want,
thinking like that. Always
yeah,
thinking best
such a,
best for my buck.
yep. How far will this dollar get me
Mhm.
per inch of whatever it is I buy?
Yep.
Um, so the other day I went to the grocery store and it was just the most beautiful bouquet and it was on sale and I was like, fuck it. So I bought it. I brought it home. I was like, Chris, you shouldn't have because I had his credit card. So he technically bought it. And I
Yep.
was like, you bought this for me. Like, thank you so much. Everyone who comes in is like, oh my God, those flowers are so beautiful. I'm like, Chris bought them. Like, I don't say he got them. Chris
Uh-huh.
bought them. And they're like, oh my, that's so sweet. Skye, these flowers have lasted 3.5 weeks. They
Where
still look brand new. Shaw's.
no way.
Yeah, I'm not. I'll send you a picture when we're done with this because it's unreal. They're stunning, and they've been sitting on our table. But our table, our like when you first walk in that front table,
Yep.
it just elevates it. It just, it's a piece of it. I'm like, oh, Chris, like it lasted 3.5 weeks. Like
Yep.
now this is a habit. Like
This
at
is
least once a month
yep.
because it looks so good and effortless.
And it's one of those things where yes, it costs money and yes, Chris could buy something that would last longer, but if that little thing is going to give you joy, like
Yeah.
I think fresh flowers in a home is something like year round. I think it's so special.
And I actually, so you know how when you buy fresh flowers, they come in like the thing? I don't know what that's
The
called. Like
plastic.
yeah, the plastic. So this came with like the clear plastic that's like the protector, and then it had like a decorative orange plastic.
Oh,
And I took the orange plastic and I actually put it in the vase with the flowers, so it like kind of spilled out. And I'm wondering if that's why they've lasted so long. I've never done that before, but I put that in and then I put like the food in that it comes with, that little bag, and they've lasted so well. I've only replaced the water twice.
wow.
And
Did you put like, I know you can put aspirin in water or the sugar in water, anything like that?
sometimes I do sugar, but these specific ones, I have not added anything other than the food the first day that I had them. And that's
Oh,
why I'm like, the only
flowers.
different is the plastic. So I'm going to try that again with my
Yeah.
next bouquet that Chris purchases for me
Hmm.
that I might pick out myself.
Yep.
But
You did.
fine.
I think I'm thinking back to your question, which I really I liked that question, Susan. I think that's actually a good journal prompt too. Like when do you feel
Yeah.
your most yourself? Because now that I like said all those things, I'm like thinking, I was like, wow, like you should always feel your most yourself. But whatever. I think a year ago, I don't think you would have said that you feel your most yourself when you're hosting. And I
No.
think it's just like the growth of buying a house, yes, but the growth of you as a person has built you into this person that like actually finds joy in the chaos of hosting, and that's so special.
Yeah, I think it's that. And I also stopped the mentality of I'll be happy when, because that's what got me stuck a lot, especially a year ago. It was like, I'll be happy when I have not just a house, but the house we build ourselves and I design. And if it's not this way, I won't be able to host the way I want. And all of those little things that I have no control over, like, and we're so fortunate to have the house that we have. Like, it is perfect for hosting, it's designed well. But it's like I was hosting extravagant parties in our apartment January and February before we moved in March, not knowing that we were going to buy a house. But
Yep.
it was like I was trying to get into that. It was something I was excited about. And I think that I really think I enjoy it because I've let go of having to control every single thing. I control what I can, and what I can is always really good. So like when people come in, that's like it is peak. Like this is as nice
Yeah.
as it's gonna be. Now everything's gonna get wrecked. And that's how it's supposed to
Yep.
be. And that's been really, really like nice and freeing to just be like, okay, no, I'm gonna enjoy it. And that's the other thing is I actually enjoy it. I don't just worry about everyone else. Like, yes, I am like I'm actively aware of if everyone's having a good time, but if I'm having a good time, that like they will too.
Absolutely. I think that's something I need to work on. I noticed with Thanksgiving, I obviously you're exhausted when you're at a gathering, whether you're the
Yeah.
one hosting it or not, but I realized I had not stopped doing something I had not sat. The only time I sat was like the 10 minutes I ate. That was it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I was running, I was doing a million different things, and I realized that I had a great time. I was so happy. And but I think looking back, I was so happy that everyone else had such a good time. Like I didn't have a bad time.
Yeah.
I didn't wait for the day to be over, but like I have worked weddings and done like the banquet side of things. So I
Yeah.
think I went into that mode where it was like I'm on the clock now until this event is over. So
Yeah.
I did not enjoy it as a guest, not one bit. Like even when I sat down to eat, it was like, okay, now what's next? And then
Yeah.
having like everyone like had their moment like after you eat, and I was like, okay, let's get dessert going, like let's start dishes, like this and that. So I definitely, and I even I wrote down something about like you're not going to enjoy it the same way your guests do, which is probably a problem, but that I thought this, but I did that. I think I think it could go either way. It depends on the event too. Like if it was a party, I would have been right in the middle of it, but I think I was also the first time I was doing it, and you're definitely getting more used to hosting too, so you're probably able
Yeah.
to let a little bit more flow than I was and actually enjoy it. So I need to work on
Yeah. I think it also like your environment has such a big to do with that because I remember being in our apartment, we had no counter space and we
it.
had no dishwasher either. And it's really hard to honestly, it's hard to enjoy it when you have such limited space
Yep.
to try to navigate all of that. Where like now I have a giant island and I have a dishwasher. Like I can throw stuff in there as things are done. Like that is huge. That's a
Yep.
big factor in it. And the other thing is accumulation of party supplies makes your life ridiculously easier. So
Yeah.
like we have I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast. This summer, Chris had gotten inherited two giant tables and sets of chairs. And I was like, we're keeping these. I gave him an entire presentation, a vulgar presentation on why we were keeping them because I was like, we need them for hosting purposes. Like, we're keeping them. I won the argument and we kept them. We used every single chair at our housewarming. I had pulled everyone out of the attic because we needed them. So anyways, as you build like your host, once you find your style and you build your hosting, I don't know,
Yeah.
stockpile of things, it makes your life so much easier because now I can go into my closet from the wedding gifts that we got and I have platters and I have servingware and I have all these things that just make it easier. I don't even have to think about it. I can just pull it out and throw food in it. Whereas when we were in the apartment and we didn't have space, it wasn't like that. Like it was logistically, I'm trying to think where are we going to fit the food? How are we going to serve the food? Like there's a lot of things that go into hosting that eventually you won't have to think about when you have the things and the space to store the things. But that's really hard too. Like storing said things is really hard. I remember at the apartment, I had one tote and I had like all of our plastic stuff because I was like, we don't have the space to do all the dishes, nor did we have enough dishes to feed anyone more than 4 people. So it was like I had a tote of all plasticware it looked nice, cups. I think I still have some of those, the disco balls, any decorations that could be reused, and a handful of big plastic servingware just so that we had it.
Yep.
And that's like where you got to start sometimes. But then you will get to a point where, you can just whip out whatever and go on the fly. And I think that's why I'm getting better at spontaneous people dropping in
Yeah.
because I have the ability to just serve now.
Absolutely. Yep. I didn't even think about doing plastic or paper utensils. Did not even cross my mind. I'm literally thinking, I was like, how much time would that have saved us? And even I had to
Right?
deal with a wine glass throughout the entire night. Like, so I feel like you're saying, like you learn as you go. And I'm sure you'll look back and think about the first time you hosted and be like, oh my God. And maybe even a year from now, you're like, I can't believe I did things this way. And
Yeah.
like, I didn't sit, and I'm realizing as you're saying these things out loud, I'm like, I didn't sit because we didn't have enough chairs for everybody to sit. And as the host, I was like, I don't want to be sitting and then having one of my guests stand, even though someone would have happily stood. Okay, they kept offering, like you have this pressure and you don't think about things in the moment. You're just like, do what has
Yeah.
to be done. And something else I was thinking about, I think one of the reasons I kept doing things was because we kind of set up in the kitchen, and that's where our that's where our kitchen table is, so it was where I wanted to have the dinner. But in my head I kind of thought people would be on the patio and then in our living room for before and after dinner, which would have given
Yeah.
me room in the kitchen to throw dishes on the table and kind of like have that as my dumping zone. But no one ever left the kitchen, so
Yeah.
it meant at 9 p.m. when everyone's like chilling after dinner, waiting for dessert, I'm like, well, I need to start getting dessert ready while I have all these people here and I have nowhere to put
Yeah.
anything. So if I had been, I think you can really train people to how you want them to be as your guest.
Yeah.
So if I had had like wine glasses or the bar set up in the living room, like you can, this is, you think back on like all the things I did working in weddings, and it's like if you want people to go somewhere, put something there for them to go to, and it's you learn as you go. And now I'm like thinking, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, we can do this so much better if we do this again.
That's what I was just thinking because when we do stuff here, a lot of times I'll put stuff along the like the island counter to start like for food and drinks. And
Yep.
then as people come in and as I want them to migrate to like the living room, because then like once everyone's there, I'll just pick the food up and move. People will follow food wherever you put it.
Yep.
Like if you want them out of your way, just food to the other room and they will follow.
And I think I saw people do this. We went for a gathering a couple weeks ago and they had the bar in a separate room than anything else. And it was
Yeah.
just, if nothing else, it's actually really good to have your guests have to get up to go get more alcohol instead
Yeah.
of sitting there and pouring the bottle of wine. Like, nope, you got to go get up and go to this other section. And I think that too, I realized we underbought alcohol and it wasn't intentional in the moment. And I kind of realized after that I was happy we did it. And if you're having like a full on like party, go for it. But for a dinner party like we did and like you've been doing, underbuying just a little bit so that there's a reason for the night to end. Because we had people like everyone stayed after the alcohol was gone, but once people stop drinking, the timer starts and then they leave sooner and sooner from there. So I think, I mean, people left at midnight and we had people arrive at 2 p.m. So if there had been more
Right.
alcohol, the party would have gone all night, which would have been fine, but I think it's kind of you can use alcohol or food or both as like your timers, like this is going to start to run out. So that I kind of thought about that after. I was like, I'm going to keep that in mind and underbuy just buy one bottle or just buy a
Yeah.
couple just to monitor.
That's the other thing too, like as you have the space to like post people, because that's one thing that I've never ever thought of that too, because we have a bar cart, which is just fully stocked collecting dust because we don't shrink off of it. And then we have a beer fridge, but we also have place for people to crash. But
Mhm.
one thing I have learned is it's okay to go to bed. Like after midnight, I'm gonna fall asleep on the couch in front of you anyways.
Mhm.
So there have been actually the last 3 times we have hosted things, I've just been like, have fun, don't drive, I'm taking your keys. I'm going to bed. Good
Yep.
night. I stay up literally as physically late as I can, but by like midnight, 12:30, I'm gone. You're
Yeah.
not gonna see me because I was up at 4 the day before, most likely. And that's okay. And so many people respect that. And I've not once had one person be like, oh my God, you went to bed early. Like you have the right group, the right tribe, they're not going to care. Especially if we've been drinking all day long
Yep.
or hosting all day long. Like people are super conscious, especially where you're hosting. They're
Yes.
like, you are probably exhausted. And
Mhm.
they're super respectful of that.
Yep. Absolutely. I think that's the number one thing is if you're gonna bother to host, only invite people that you want in your house and that
For
you
a long period of time.
yeah.
Imagine if they don't till 3 a.m. Make
And
sure it's something you don't mind is there.
people that you trust to leave in your house when you want to go to bed. Like that's fantastic, you know?
Yeah. Do we want to do favorites or do you have anything
No, I
else?
think favorites is great.
So, my favorite quote of the week was the choices we make today create the future you were dreaming of.
I like
And
that.
I like that one.
That's very DLL.
Yes. It was the first thing I saw on Pinterest this morning. I'm like, I'm writing it down.
Yep, it's perfect. I have been talking to you and a few other people, and just like this has been on my mind the past week, so I thought it was perfect that like being genuine, like the idea of like gen I keep wanting to say genuinity, and I know that that's not a word, but that's what comes in my head. But being genuine and surrounding yourself with genuine people and like being having your words be genuine, like all these things I've just been really leaning into over the past week. And it goes a long way. I think like I've really learned that being genuine and only receiving genuine energy just creates such a positive mindset for yourself. So I was looking for quotes on that, and this is the one I found. It's not about being known and admired by everyone. It's about being authentic in a world that makes us think we are not enough. Because authenticity connects us, and genuine connection is what heals.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
That's very
And it
nice.
kind of like summed up like everything I was like trying to find in a quote. So I was like, this is perfect.
That's really nice.
I thought so too.
So, my favorite for the week is actually a compliment I got. So, over the course of the weekend, we had 8 people here. Saturday, my in laws were here.
Mhm.
So, 10 people throughout the course of the weekend. And every single one of them said, oh my God, your home is so cozy. Like I feel so warm and cozy. And I was like, that is all I've ever wanted. That is how I feel in my living room in my kitchen. But I wanted like that to translate and just having people like feel the energy that I've put in because I slaved over that living room trying to
Yeah.
de-wallpaper it and paint it and then match our pillows and just make it warm. And that has just been so nice. Like that makes my heart genuine. And it's hosting because
Yes.
they're here in our house and they feel the way I feel.
And I think it's you have so much pride for your home, which you should. And it's you're getting not that you're looking for like affirmation on the work you've done on your home, but seeing people that are saying these compliments that you're hoping for without you prompting them. You know, like
Yeah.
these are the things you're looking for without telling people that this is what you're looking for, which is the best kind of compliment.
I'm just glad that it's a welcoming space for
Yes.
it, for like for everyone. And that's the other thing. It's on my to-do list. I need to name our home because I was reading Grimoire
Yes.
Girl by Lori Burton, and I'm obsessed. And it needs like our home needs a name, and I'm having the hardest time naming her. It's definitely a her. I got that part down, but I don't know. So if you have any ideas, you've been here, you've met her.
Yeah.
So I need it has to be like magical, but not in like a blatantly magical
It's
way.
got to be like fall witchy magic,
Mm,
like very that vibe.
yes.
Hmm.
I don't know what it is yet though, but I'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
I'll ponder. I like this. My favorite of the week is I'm changing it because it was just going to be my coffee syrups because I couldn't think of anything else, which I have been enjoying having coffee syrups for the first time ever. But because of what you just said about receiving compliments that are unprompted, that are exactly what you actually wanted to hear, I have to talk about a compliment that you gave me on Saturday night because I had put together an outfit that I had spent far too long thinking about, but I wanted to go for a very specific vibe and I wanted it to look good. Like I knew I was going to be taking a photo, but it wasn't even about the photo, it was just about feeling good and you understand. And so I spent a long time on this outfit and I sent you the picture and you responded I think the favorite is specific compliments because that's what was given to
Yeah.
you. That's what you gave to me is not just, oh, you look great, but X, Y, and Z, this is what I love about your outfit without me saying, don't you love my outfit? And it was
Yeah.
just, I spent so long on this and you turned around and said exactly what I was going for and highlighted all the little things down to the textures of the different fabrics I was wearing. And I've been having so much fun with fall fashion, like I've talked about for a couple weeks now. And I was so happy in the outfit anyways. And then sometimes a compliment just goes so far. They always go so far, but especially when you're not looking for them. I think that's the best kind of compliment.
It was so funny because you sent me the picture, and for context, the picture was of her and Nick, and they're at the hockey game, and they're standing like I don't know what's that board? It's like
It's
the team
it's
board.
the media board, like where they would do interviews after the games or whatever.
Right. So they're just standing, they look super cute, and I was like, "Oh my god, like, look so cute." And then I just, like, dive into the outfit, and I was like, I was hoping you were gonna take it the right way because I was like, "I hope she doesn't think I'm taking away from, like, the cuteness of, like, her and her fiance because like, that's super exciting." But, like, the outfit, the star of the show, like, it just had all the elements, and I was obsessed.
And we know each other well enough that like I know what you think about me and Nick, so I don't every time the compliment doesn't have to be like, you guys are so cute, which you did say, and then it was like, I know what he's here for, even though all I did was randomly send this photo, and it was
Yeah,
like,
there was no context.
nope,
You literally
none.
just photo, and I went on a rant about it. And then so I sent my first like review, and then you responded, and
Yes.
I responded. We responded the same thing. I was like, "You look so expensive!" Like it was
I
just
was going for something chic, like something, and you were like,
yeah,
you look so chic. I was like, it's just
yeah,
it is the little things. Like look at that. Those are two favorites for this week that are not physical, like materialistic favorites. It's just the unprompted specific compliments go so far.
yes. And you guys know the drill. Like and subscribe. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, and we'll be back next week.
Thank you so much for listening.